Hello everyone, Tim Vine here and welcome to Board of Numbers, episode 6. Yes, it's the podcast. Is it a podcast? Well, it's a thing, isn't it? It's a recording. It's a recording where I'm planning on doing 21 of them, talking about every single number on the dartboard. And we're on 6 today. And let me just tell you about the 6. Those of you who play a lot of darts may agree with me and you may disagree with me, but I find the 6 as a horizontal number, it's actually 3 o'clock on the dartboard, that I feel those are harder to hit a single of. There's much easier to drift up or down when you're going for a single 6. That's just my personal opinion. I find the same thing is true of single 11 and to a lesser degree, single 13 and single 14. I don't know what it is. Perhaps it's to do with my ability to go left and right better than I can go up and down. And that's just sort of darts thing, maybe. I don't know. I think that may be something that most dart players feel like as well. Anyway, single 6 is used for what? Well, it's used for the straightforward shot when you're on 46, 6 for tops, and it's often used, it's one of the few numbers it's used to split a shot. So the pro will quite often, when they're on 38, go single 6 to leave 32. Myself, I would tend to go for 38. Unless I was miles ahead and I thought, well, perhaps 32 might be a better route down. But you know, when you're on a double and you're in a pub, best to go for the double, I always think. There's not a lot of other times that you go for single 6. Perhaps you can think of others. I can't think of many others. There's the novelty factor with the 6, of course. Sometimes people will say, go for the hole in the 6. They say that, don't they? Well, not very often, but sometimes they say, all right, I'll give you the game if you can go for the hole in the 6. You know where the actual number 6 is? That little wire 6. There's a little hole where the 6 is, and you can try and get a dart in there. That's a fun thing to do. Novelty shots are good fun. I remember when I was at school and I was first getting into darts, and a fellow pupil, a friend of mine called Jason Lunt, was telling me this story just the other day when we all met up at a reunion. He said one time he walked into a room and I said, watch this. And I was standing one side of the room and I threw my dart the other side, from one side of the room to the other, probably a good 15 feet, and turned the light on, hit the light switch, on came the light. And he said, that's absolutely amazing. And I sort of swaggered a bit and thought to myself, yes, it wasn't bad, was it? Jason then tells the story that the next time he came into that room, the same light switch was there, and around that light switch were upwards of 50 small holes where I tried to repeat what I'd managed to do once and never managed it. So there we are. That's nothing to do with 6, but that's just talking about the sort of the novelty shots which we do enjoy. I remember once, this is one of my, you know, when a number comes up here, I think to myself, well, do I have any experiences that I can share with you regarding that number? And I do have one regarding the 6, actually, the double 6. I was playing a player called David Mann, who is in my darts team, but it was a singles competition, and I was drawn against him. Now, David at the time, county player, very good player, dangerous player. It was best of 3 501s. I think it was one leg all, and I'd made a good start on the deciding leg. I think I had a couple of ton plus shots, and I got to the double quite quickly in terms of in relation to David. I was on 12, and I threw 3 darts for double 6, and David was way back, and I didn't score anything, so I was still on double 6. And then David stepped up again and scored a more. And eventually, because of me faffing around not getting the double, we had a situation where I was on 12 and David was on 154. Now, I'd like to ask other dart players what they would do in this situation. I went for double 6, and the first dart was outside of the double. The second dart, I hit a single 6. So now I have one dart in my hand, and I'm on 6, so I'm on double 3. David is on 154. Well, I made what could now be called the fateful decision to think that he would not take out 154. I thought to myself, well, look, I'll bust it, go back onto double 6, and we'll have a go, probably have 3 more darts at this. So I didn't go for double 3, with one dart in my hand, I threw some up, and Mugs Alley, around the 14 or something, and bust the shot. So I was waiting on double 12. And as is so often the case, it's amazing how often this happens, this is a great deal of encouragement to your opponent, because it basically says, he doesn't think I can take out 154. And David stood up and went treble 20, treble 18, double top. 154 was taken out, and David Mann went through to the semi-final or the final or whatever it was. So that's a salutary lesson to me. I mean, you can still make these decisions. I remember talking to one of the other players in our league, Dell, and he said I would have done the same thing. So, perhaps in that situation, I would probably, again, bust, because I just don't think in my league someone's probably going to take out 154. On that day, I was very wrong. David Mann, who incidentally, I found out chatting to him the other day, his darts name is Gingerbread. David Gingerbread Mann. Brilliant. And I'll tell you something else interesting about the name David Mann. That was the character name in a famous film. Do you know what the film was which starred the character called David Mann? And I'll tell you that tomorrow as a special treat. I must remember to write that down, so I'll give you the answer to that question tomorrow. Of course, you can Google it, find out in 3 seconds and spoil the whole game, but don't be like that. So there we are, that's 6, a slightly shorter episode. It's about 6 minutes long, coincidentally. And that was the last of the non-deliberate trebles. Remember what I said, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. You don't throw for those trebles deliberately. Well, tomorrow we go to 7. And all I can tell you is there may not be a guest, but we will be looking at a deliberately thrown treble sector. So there's something to look forward to. It's quite late, as you can tell. Anyway, have a lovely evening. Happy Christmas. That's the end of that episode. If you're listening to this and it's not Christmas, forgive me.